Hello and welcome to the Fedora Files. I am Gregory Fedora. Sorry, I've been drinking already. So with me today is a great guest. His name is Vic Boss Chan, who you are an underground wrestler, correct?
Yes. I was.
You've retired.
That's what people are calling it, but yeah, I stopped. Yeah.
You stopped. So when did you begin this journey into underground wrestling, and why? Like, what drew you to this?
Well, it's funny because we always did short martial art type movies, just little skits with our buddies, and then me and my brother Daniel, we were always into wrestling, just watching. We didn't think it was possible to do. And then one of our favorite wrestlers, Eddie Guerrero, had passed away, and we were like, we really wanted to do a tribute to him. So we ended up piecing this match together, just as two dudes that dug the guy, and all of a sudden we're like, I think we're on to something here. And that would have been back in '05 when we kind of started the whole wrestling thing. But it's just started with that one tribute match, and all of a sudden yearly we're doing these like wrestling fighting skits called Free for All.
Mm-hmm.
And then that evolved into us renting out venues and putting on entire shows that were based on professional wrestling. So yeah,
It's 16 years ago, basically, it all began.
Pretty much, yeah.
So, like, when you do it, like, I know, like, there's WWE and stuff, but you guys are more underground, so it's more. I've seen some of the videos, so
yeah,
and you guys go. It's a bit more extreme.
Yeah. So, at least for me, I kind of got the style from like the Japanese wrestling, because they're a lot more stiff with their shots, and even if they miss a shot, they'll make up for it with the second shot, and like really punch you good so you forget about the mistake that was made. So yeah, we definitely went a little bit more I guess stiff and snug with our hits. And yeah, it's funny because we did shows monthly, but we would do multiple matches in that one show, so it almost was equivalent to doing a show a week. But yeah, we were beating the crap out of each other pretty good.
Now with the videos I've seen of you do your thing, you were Vic Boss, and
Yes.
you were kind of a quasi bad guy at times. It seemed you were like an antagonist.
Yeah.
And what was that something you just, because I've talked to you before and you're not very mean at all.
Thank you.
So was that kind of an outlet, because in reality you're not really the mean guy who wants to get in people's faces and cause crap.
Right.
Is that what drew you to being the antagonist?
So the antagonist kind of was an idea just because it's fun to play a bad guy too. But I feel like we wanted to give some of the other guys that kind of, as we would call it in wrestling, the baby face, which is the good guy. We want to kind of give them that spot, and like, well, we need a antagonist or a heel for them to go against. And I was like, well, I'll do it, because it's just fun to be a bad guy. The problem with it is anybody who would come to our shows or the people that would be watching online ended up cheering for me. So I think in that respect, I did a bad job of being a bad guy.
Well, you were the anti-hero. You were like the Deadpool of your group.
That's what I ended up becoming, I think.
Yeah, where like, so I know, like, WWE, it seems very choreographed at times. I know that. I mean, they're obviously in great shape, and I don't go to say, oh, it's all fake, but they have to be physically fit. They've got to know what to do, because like some things they do to each other, they could kill a person, and some people have died in the ring, obviously, doing this stunt.
Absolutely.
What is the worst injury that you have occurred, because your stuff is far less choreographed and far less, it's kind of like you said, it's a free for all. It's more
Yeah.
of a, we're just going to
Yeah.
go at it and whoever wins wins kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what's your worst injury?
So like going to the choreography thing, it's almost a lost art at this point,
Mhm.
where you just kind of call it all during the show itself. Sometimes we only really know the ending, and sometimes not even that. Um, that's why I say, if you don't know how to do it, don't do it.
Yes.
But the worst injury I've probably ever seen was somebody getting their leg snapped during
Oh,
a suplex. And I mean, who's like, they were drinking too at the beginning of the show, so it was kind of something's probably going to happen.
mhm,
But like the guys in charge or whatever kind of are like, no more drinking, no more any recreational stuff before any of the shows.
mhm.
um as for me, there's one time that I was pressed over my brother's head, and he dropped me, and I didn't think he was going to press me, simply because I just didn't know he was going to go for it, but he did, and I misjudged my fall to the ground, so I kind of landed on my side, the side of my head. And the vertigo after that was lasted for years.
Oh, wow.
So any physical like ailment I went through will never touch that vertigo, because it's kind of a scary feeling when all of a sudden everything starts
Yeah, spinning.
spinning.
Yeah, and
Eh,
you're just
Yeah.
standing there and you just suddenly,
Oh yeah, and it's like I'm trying to keep the match going, and there was a while in 2018 where after every match I was experiencing like severe vertigo, and yeah, I think that would have been the worst.
oh, wow.
And even with a back injury and all that, and I think that was the
Yeah, because
worst.
that just like back injuries, you can kind of take pain medication, but like with vertigo,
Right, right.
it can come on crazily and
Exactly, and you
you
just kind
don't
of
know.
gotta ride that wave, and
Yeah.
it was, yeah. I think it was more scary than painful or anything, but
Mhm.
yeah, it was that was a time.
Right. So like the wrestling matches you did, they're still going on, correct? Because I think I've still seen some like it's called Bombs for Breakfast, correct? That's
Correct,
what.
correct,
Now,
correct.
are they still doing shows now? Now that the pandemic's kind of going away, are they amping these back up or not?
So they do want to potentially do something for the end of the year, as far as I know, and I do know they want to go full swing next year.
Hmm.
Um, the thing is, now we're just kind of getting another spike in COVID cases, so
Hmm.
it's like we're gonna have to see what restrictions come back and stuff like that, and so hopefully they'll be able to do something at the end of the year, just to kind of prep for next year and all
Hmm.
that stuff. Because yeah, it'd be kind of it'd be fun to see, because at on my on the last show I did, I by choice wanted to be kind of taken out near the I guess the middle, even though it was a little bit more than the middle, just so I can have that moment where I come to the audience and I sit down and I watch them do their thing, and I had a blast doing that. So it'd be really cool to see them continue, just so I can keep doing that, or I don't know, maybe they'll have me hold their bags or something.
I think you should be an announcer for them, or even
Oh
a
yeah, there
ref.
you go.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah.
Yeah, I would absolutely referee for them for sure.
That'd be
For
amazing.
sure.
So when you start doing it, and now you've quote unquote retired, but I have a feeling you may come back, because
Mhm.
you've said in the past you had quit and then you came back.
Right,
And
right.
so what made you decide that you wanted to take a break or stop?
So the other times it was more like I think I just needed that recovery.
Hmm.
There was no there's no closure with any of the other times that I left, because like those times it was like, because this doesn't pay us a whole hell of a lot.
Hmm.
So it's like all right, I've got people at home that are depending on me to provide for them, and if I'm hurt, I can't do that. So I have to kind of put this wrestling to a side as much as I love it, so I can do that. But then once I started feeling healthy, it's like you get that itch. It's
Hmm.
like, oh, I want to come back, and the biggest thing for me is like I never ever wanted to leave on an injuries term. I wanted to leave on my term, and I got to do that in 2019. Yeah, it was pre-COVID. um and yeah, it's just the time was right. I did everything I wanted to do and did every match I've wanted to do.
Hmm.
um so I'm never going to rule out a one shot kind of thing. If the story's right and the opponent's right and the scenario's right. But in terms of that, like I said, that a monthly schedule with like 4 or 5 matches or whatever I did, um, that's completely behind me. I have absolute no itch to, even for the one shot, it would have to be the right scenario
Yeah.
for me to do it again.
So I'm curious. So what is the for you to prepare for the matches? You said they're once a month. Like what did you go through to prepare between each match? Like what obviously you did martial arts. Was there
Mhm.
other things you did?
Um, so it depended on what time. Uh, I mean, 16 years is a lot of
Yeah.
kind of time, but it depend. Like, are you familiar with the Big Boss stuff I was doing, where I wore the tactical vest and
Yeah, I
the
remember.
mask?
Yeah, the outfit.
So,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. So I figured that was kind of the anti-hero run, and I figured if I'm gonna make this character work, he has to kind of be me, but if I didn't care about anybody else but the absolute victory. So I was like, he can't look lean and pretty boyish or whatever. He doesn't care.
Mhm.
Um, so I kind of got bigger and like almost like a bear, where it was to the point where it's like this guy can't be taken down. This guy's he's I kind of went. I ate a lot of food and I lifted a lot of weights
You
for
you
that
became
character.
like the Dark Knight Returns Batman, where he's
Pretty much,
just
pretty
this
much.
gigantic thing.
Yeah, because I mean, typically I hover around 170 to 180. I was about 210,
Oh wow.
almost 220, when I was in like 2017, something like that. Um, but carrying that's a lot of weight to carry around, especially for me, who I'm like 5'10", so I'm not like
Mhm.
a 6 foot guy that could um, carry that weight rather easily. So it was kind of taking its toll on my back and stuff like that. So I was like, I got to lean out again. Um, so, but then when I started leaning out, it was just a lot of watching what I ate and still weight training, stretching, and I just I just ramped up my cardio
Mhm.
really. And in terms of like practicing moves and stuff, there's these set of moves that I have that I know I can perform no matter how many times I've just done it enough to know that I can do it safely every single time,
Mhm.
unless a freak accident happens, which do happen. So I don't really practice much of the wrestling as opposed to the stretching and keeping myself limber and stuff like that. But yeah, just weight training, cardio, and kind of a Rocky montage 80s
Yes.
video. It's very basic. It's effective. It works.
You go into the beef factory and you start punching the
Yeah, I
meat.
just start punching the meat,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
and that's
And then
that's
doing this.
yeah, just a lot of that.
That.
A
Yeah.
lot
Yes.
of it. I used to I used to hit a punching bag, so that was my
Uh,
meat.
all right. So, let's say there's somebody listening to us now, and it's a young guy, and he's really into what you're doing. What advice would you give him if he's like at the verge? He hasn't done it yet, but he wants to do this like underground wrestling or wants to start an underground wrestling league. What are something you
Okay.
would tell him
So
other than don't do it? You might die.
don't do it is the big one. But if I mean, there's so many people that told us not to do it too, so I understand that aspect of it too. But just do it with people that are just as passionate as
Mhm.
you are. Because if you're kind of dragging people into it, it's like, oh, come on, come on. That's when you're pushing for it to happen, whereas nobody else wants to, and they're doing it for the sake of doing it. And then you're hitting these people for real, even though it's you know choreographed or planned, but
It's still
tempers
real
can rise.
hits. Yeah.
It's real hits, and if tempers rise and this guy's not fully into it, he's going to take it as you might have really smacked him one, and then he's going to hit you back, and that can turn into something. So just make sure you do it with people that understand it, love
Mhm.
it, and or yeah, that's pretty much it. I think I kind of lucked out on that, having that many people that were like-minded on it, and it wasn't. If somebody hit me in the mouth for real, I'm not mad about it,
Mhm.
because it's like I know it came from a place where we're trying to make this choreographed,
Exciting. Yeah.
scripted, thing just real, and yeah.
You're
So
trying to entertain those watching. And
yes, that's the major thing, because we used to do this thing at the beginning of matches and I hated it. It's where we would do these suplexes at the start of the show just to kind of get our bodies ready.
Mhm.
And sometimes by then audience members would come in and they would already sit down, so they saw us together. And for me, it was breaking the illusion.
Oh yeah.
So I hated that. But then later on, I was like, okay, they know we're all buddies, but now it's my job to make them forget that this is fake.
So
So let
then
me
you amped it up even more.
I amped it up even more, and then if I hear them going, "Oh, okay, I got them,"
Mhm.
and after that, if they go home and say, "Oh, that was BS," or that's their problem.
Yeah.
Like I'm not worried about it anymore, because I know I got you in that moment.
Yeah. So, would you say that that having that crowd there watching you was it like kind of an adrenaline rush for you? Was it
Oh,
because I
absolutely. Absolutely. If there's like sometimes there was just one person out there, but we'd still work just as hard. But then
Mhm,
sometimes we'd had shows where there's like 20, 30, 40 people there. And
mhm.
it's like just to hear them make that kind of noise, it's a whole heck of a lot of fun. And it kind of pushes you it pushes you to kind of do things to get even more of a reaction out of them, um, like me jumping off of the bathroom roof or whatever. Uh, I only do that for two reasons: if there's a camera on me, and if there's people watching. I'm
Uh,
not doing that for practice.
yeah. Not just for fun. You don't just climb
No,
up there and
no,
jump.
no. I mean, maybe if I had a few drinks in me, I don't know.
Yeah. But you're not allowed to do that before the matches anymore. No drinking
No,
before the.
no drinking, no drinking. Not that I ever did.
Yeah. Now, I was curious, like over the 16 years, is there a memory or a match you did that you were just like, this was my favorite. This was by far this was it all coming together for you, and you were like, this is why we started it.
Yeah.
What was that?
So there's a match back in 2011. I think I was about 24 at the time. Um, and me and Paul Hoden, my best friend, decided because he and I had never done anything one on one, and we're like, let's piece something together, man. And that one, there was a little bit of choreography to it because that's just what worked for him.
Mhm,
So we 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 kind of worked a little bit out, mostly the beginning part. But I remember when we went in there and did the match, he was kind of nervous, and I was like, don't worry about it, we're good, we're good. But as soon as we locked up and then we started doing our sequences, I was like, this feels right. This
mhm,
like just feels right. And um he won the match, which was the right thing to do. Is like a lot of his family was there for that show too. And I remember after the match, he won with an ankle lock. I went upstairs where our changing stuff was, and I just like lost it. Like I'm like, yes, yes, that was the one. That was the one. And that video, um, we had to take it down, the original upload. Um, I think because I lost a channel or something happened. I forget why I had to take it down, but that video got thousands and thousands of views, and
Hmm.
I think that was like the push even for our Von Chan channel where we were just doing skits. I think that was like the the video that kind of started like almost everything after that we did. So I always look back at that match and say, yeah, that's probably my
Yeah.
absolute favorite. I've got a lot, but
Yes.
that was the one.
Now, in doing these your the wrestling, has there ever been an experience that you were just like shocked that you were a part of, that you were there, and when it was all over, you're like, how did this even happen, or anything like that?
Um,
I mean, was
Man.
it like when it went online, or like how did you guys end up deciding to go online actually? Like, was it always planned to be an online event as well, or?
So that was a completely um Thriller's thing, because Bombs for Breakfast is his baby, and
Mhm,
he pretty much, like, when we started, or when he started Bombs for Breakfast, he's like, man, I need you there for the first show. I didn't want to do it,
mhm,
and he convinced me into doing at least the first show, and I was like, okay, and then now I'm done, and then it ended up, um him asking me to be the champion, and I'm like, dude, if I can just come in here and lose every match, I'm okay. But it made sense because a lot of people were watching, um uh to see me, and I'm like,
mhm,
and I'm not trying to sound arrogant or anything, but it became this thing. It's like, okay, we're gonna lose a viewership if all I'm doing is losing.
mhm,
So the idea to kind of me go forward with the championship was like a good idea at that point. And then more and more people got kind of interested in what we were doing, but they couldn't make it out to the shows. So I guess the Facebook Live started. So people that aren't in the area
mhm,
can watch what we're doing, and it all started with a comedy match, actually, with some of our mask characters. We did this invisible flame match, and one of our wrestlers just took out his phone. He started Facebook. He had the foresight to do that, and
mhm,
then we watched it. And it was like that one little comedy match looked better than our entire show, just because it was on Facebook Live, and
mhm,
so we're like, why don't we just do the entire show on it? If people watch, they watch. If they don't, at least we have an archive of footage.
mhm.
Um, so yeah, that was kind of. I mean, I could be wrong of the whole genesis of how it happened, but that's at least my take on it. I think that's how we decided to go live.
That's awesome. So, where do you see things going for you now? Now that you've kind of put it behind you,
Right.
what? But I know you as a person. There's still stuff bubbling in your head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where do you see yourself going now? Now that you opened that chapter of your life, and you've gone through it, you've experienced it, you've kind of moved to a new chapter. What is your
Yeah.
next chapter?
So, in terms of the wrestling or anything,
Or anything,
uh,
anything,
or
because
anything. So, as for the wrestling, like I I don't mind helping out as a referee. I don't mind helping out in ideas. I don't mind helping out with camera work. Um, but I do want to, get back into filming short films and filming, just always doing something creatively in that way, because
mhm,
it's like I don't think that's ever gonna go away.
yeah,
You as a creative person, like we've been creating content for like years now.
yes.
So it's like that part never goes away. Even if one chapter kind of closes, you think of a new idea of how we can keep. kind of being creative. So, but I definitely have a few ideas in terms of like a Von Chan revival.
Oh, that'd
Um,
be great. I mean, your videos back then, like they're always amazing. Like the fights you guys would pull off. Like
yeah.
I recall one in I believe it was a playground, and you guys were like
Yes.
jumping from thing to thing and using the swings and everything as like weapons and blocking, and
Yes.
it was so it seriously it looked like in a like a martial arts movie. You guys were like
Oh,
so
thank
in
you.
sync, and it was just like, as I mean, I've done like quote unquote martial arts, and my stuff would look
Right.
ridiculous, but you guys looked like you were ready to kill each other, and but it was
Oh,
so choreographed. And it was like it just is one of my favorites. I remember in my head seeing it, and I think it was you and Paul,
yes.
and you guys were
Yes.
doing that, and it was
He is absolute magic to work with. Because he's so there's no idea that's off bounds. Like sometimes when I'll be working with somebody, I'll have an idea in my head, but I don't want to say it
mhm,
because of how stupid it might be. He'll take my stupid idea and snowball it, and then it'll turn into us fighting in a playground. So it's just an absolute pleasure working with him, and he's my best buddy. So it's like it's
yes,
easy, it's easy. But
oh yeah,
yeah, I would love to do some more of that, or even some of the like those robber episodes that we were doing, or those
oh
Santa
yes,
cooking episodes and stuff like that. um and initially those were things we did not even plan on doing because we were gonna um just do a bunch of martial arts stuff, but we all live in different cities and it's hard to choreograph
mhm,
um when we only see each other maybe once a month or something, or not even that. So it was a lot easier to, because we all have a similar sense of humor, so it's easy to just kind of improv comedy off each other and turn on the camera. And if it made us laugh, it might make somebody
yeah,
else laugh.
exactly, yes. I mean, if you enjoy it, at least like three more people out there have to, you know.
Exactly, exactly. And hey, that's good enough for me.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that was the wrestling itself was very similar because, like you said, there are some days
Yeah,
you would perform in front of one, then some days 40, and then some days hundreds of people were watching online, but
yeah,
you were putting in the effort no matter who saw it because you just wanted
yeah.
that person to enjoy what they were seeing.
Well, absolutely. And it's just kind of a pride for your body of work, I think, as well. And I think when I was younger, I would take a lot of this way too seriously.
Mhm,
Like I said, I didn't want to break the illusion and all this, but like as time went on, it's like um, I had way more fun with it, and it became a lot more fun. And it's almost like now everybody's in on the joke, so it's fun for everybody, whereas
mhm,
before it was like I'm in on the joke and
mhm.
is only maybe fun for me. So it's cool when everybody can get involved.
Yeah, it is. And I love it that this was something you guys did on the side. You had like your real lives out there, and yet you had this thing you were doing that was just pure entertainment for yourselves and others.
Yeah,
And that's one of the reasons I want to talk to you because a lot of times I run into people who are just stuck in this area and they don't even try to expand out. And the idea to start like this underground wrestling is so like to me it's insane, but it's
yeah.
magical and amazing at the same
Oh,
time. Like just to like because I just for me I would probably overanalyze it. I would be like, okay, if I do this, I will end up in the hospital. I'm not doing it. And I think a
yeah,
lot of people do that, but yet you guys were like, no, we're doing it.
yeah,
And
yeah,
and but there's so many things I think people have out there that to offer to, and I think when we entertain others and we give something back to people, I think it just makes us better, makes the world a better. I think
absolutely,
the whole
absolutely.
the what you guys were doing, it's an art, obviously, because it is entertainment, but it's also like you said, you have to be in the right condition. You have to know what you're doing. You can't just
Yeah,
be like, hey, tomorrow let's have a cage match and hope
yeah,
it
and
goes
then
well. And
yeah, and then it's like you do the cage match, and then the next day you're like, maybe that wasn't such a good idea. Let's never do that again.
because
So
your arm is bending the wrong way, and
right, right. So it's you definitely have to have at least a measure of knowing what you're getting yourself into, and yeah, when if you're gonna do it, don't do it half-assed, because that's when you probably get hurt too.
yeah. Well, yeah,
Um,
you'll probably get hurt, and one, you won't enjoy it, and the people
no,
watching, I think, if you're doing it half-assed, people are gonna notice that, and
yeah.
they won't be the people going, "Ooh," they'll be like, "What?" You know,
What?
like,
So
"Come on."
that's the thing. Even if you make a mistake, or maybe one of your kicks didn't connect, the second you stop performing after that, it's that's when you really messed up.
Mhm.
If you can pick yourself up almost in a split second after something like that happens, and then kind of transition to another thing, then it's almost like nobody even really noticed the kick that was missed. So
Yes.
it's just never stop performing. It's just, yeah,
Well,
keep.
there was a dance teacher that I heard once tell the students, if you're going to fall, fall big, but then get right
Yes,
back up. Don't
yes.
just half-ass the fall. Fall big, make it a
That
big fall, then jump back up and keep going. And it's
that is
like,
great advice.
yeah. And that's actually great advice in real life. If you're gonna mess
Yeah,
up, just let it happen, but then get right on and keep going. Don't let the mess up stop you. You gotta
yeah.
go through it.
Oh yeah.
So
And as much as people like to see kind of um like a big fall or something like that, I think we underestimate how forgiving people can be. So when you get back up, they almost want to see that comeback,
mhm,
more than they wanted to see the fall. So
yeah,
it's, yeah. So don't sweat the fall. Falls
yeah.
happen. Falls definitely happen.
Yeah, it's what you do once after the fall that is gonna make it like the magic.
Yes,
That's
absolutely, absolutely.
well, I know you are a busy man and you've got
I
things going on in your life. And I promised I wouldn't take up too much of your time, and I don't want to.
we're good. I absolutely, because I don't do a lot of these, because I don't think of myself as a big deal. But for you, I had to, because yeah, it's like I said, we've just, you've known of us for so long, and you've supported us for so long. And yeah, I had to take some time away and do this. And we were actually supposed to do this months ago, and I'm like,
Yes. It's good.
how do I?
You finally you had time. That's why I said I know you're busy. So
Yeah, yeah.
and
No, I just, and it's a lot of me just working, and then coming home and being like, I don't want to, like I said, I want to give you my half-ass self. I want to have some energy when I do something like this.
well, I thank you obviously because I
Oh,
definitely will
thank you,
probably
man. Thank you.
when you're ready to do your next chapter and you
Yes.
know what exactly you're going to do. I want to have you come back on and tell us what you're doing.
So as like the lead up to whatever I do next, I will definitely send a message your way, and we'll do this again,
Oh,
because
definitely. Yes.
this was a hell of a lot of fun.
And if Paul is involved, maybe he can join you. And
Oh, heck yeah.
we can have a
Uh,
three-way, plutonic three-way.
Plutonic three-way, and
Yes.
if we get Daniel involved,
A
Mr.
full
Innovator,
there we go.
we'll have a
That would be
fatal
amazing.
four-way.
There we go. I love it. I love it.
Yes.
And if for those of you out there, if you're deciding you want to do underground wrestling, first and foremost, don't do it.
Don't
Or
do it.
actually train and find people that understand what you want to do and will do it the
Yeah.
right way with you. And
Yeah.
perhaps look up some of the Bomb for Breakfast videos. They're still out there, correct?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they're still out there.
Yeah, look them up and see how they did it, and then you'll get an idea of where they went. It really is. I encourage everyone to go check them out. They're
Oh,
highly
thank you.
entertaining,
Thank
highly
you.
entertaining. So as
And
always, stay safe and keep searching.